progression. And we just keep going with that until you see some sort of response that you can then really anchor to the idea of a change having taken place. Okay, reframing in NLP. You know, you normally pay about fucking £2,000 to find all this out, dragged out over 3 weeks. I wish I was joking. Reframing. Reframing is basically changing people's perspectives. So, you know, somebody might say to you something like, I'm trying to think of an everyday life example. Oh, bloody hell, would you believe it? I've just run out of flipping lager. Now, you could join in with them and go, that's fucking terrible, that is. Which is called ramping up the pain. And sometimes in therapy, with using pain and pleasure, you do want to ramp the pain up more so they feel even worse about the situation before you help them make that change, so that it feels such a sense of relief and pleasure when that change is made, more so than it would have done in the first place.
Yeah, another way of doing it is when they say, oh, whatever, you just go, I don't believe you. So they have to go even further in order to prove it.
Yeah, and tell you more and justify it more and pisses them off more and creates even more pain, so that then, but in actual fact it's only the same thing, same issue. The issue's not changed, but by the time you've finished, there's fucking pains up here, and they're like, I really need help with this. So when you give them the help, even if they only went back to where they were before, it would feel such a massive change from where they once were before in the past to where they are now, that they would assume, fuck me, there's been a massive change now, I'll be cured, or it's going the right direction. So they then come to believe a process has been set off, and because of that, like in a lumpy, and this comes back to what I said yesterday, I'm not going to go into chemicals and all that again, but the chemical releases in the brain will have helped create, because of your anchoring and reframing, will have helped create new neural wiring diagrams. So it will have brought the pleasure-pain, if that was the correct way around, into and done a new one, pain-pleasure, or vice versa, depending on whether you need to push them more towards pleasure to make the thing happen, or more towards pain to stop it from happening. Leverage is obviously the way of doing that, as we mentioned before. State elicitation can be done visually or verbally, which you probably guessed. Can be done just by voice tone, sounding excited, really good, inside, right now, or drifting down deeper and deeper. And I don't know why, but I just find that also, you know, physically movement, and just it makes it easier to make those vocal changes. Right, submodality changes, bollocks to it. At the end of the day, NLP goes on about, well, how does that make you feel? Yeah, but which part of it is that makes you feel? What specific bollocks to it? I don't use it. So we'll go back in time slightly to what we did do before lunch. Right. Oh yeah. In all of these cases, yeah, we did. Yeah, in all of these cases, at some point near the beginning, we used the crafty technique of, you know, just close your eyes for a few moments. Just take a few moments' time, if you would, to think of things as they once were in the past. You know, when they were painful, and, you know, when it was really bad, as bad as it fucking could be. Now, on a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no problem whatsoever, and 10 being the worst it's ever been, how high up is it right now? How high up is it right now implying it's a high number? You want them to give a high number. You get that? You do your mini session, your long session, your whatever. Confuse the issue, reframe, anchor, whatever it is you choose to use when you improvise and be flexible. So you've seen some sort of reaction during the session. Tremendous, that's what we want, fantastic. So at the end, when you open up, when we get them to open their eyes, they will perceive it as being asked exactly the same question, but the wording's ever so slightly different. On a scale of 0 to 10, okay? With 10 being the worst it ever was in the past when it was really bad. And 0 being no problem whatsoever. I can't help it, but I do the physical actions as well because they're all non-verbal, so I hope you're picking up on that now. How low down the scale has it gone now? And I just did it then and didn't even realise it, but I did the voice tone change so that the embedded commands there, it's gone now. As well as implying with the visual that it's gone down. And because we started with, over there it started 0, 10, here it's 10, 0, yeah? And it doesn't matter how few numbers down they go, that becomes a convincer that some change has been made. And the ironically fucked up thing about it all is, the moment the client believes something has changed for the better, then it has. Because it's all about belief systems, perceptions, motivations, desires and triggers and emotions. And when they can, within themselves, believe, truly believe that a change has been made, and just imagine how much better they feel. Bloody hell, in that short space of time we made those changes so well. And if you so desire, then you can go through the process again, and oddly enough the numbers come down a bit more because it's compounded suggestion that they will, can it just work? So you can get them to the point where it's 0, or, as I prefer to do, if they don't go straight to 0, get them to a reasonably low number and go, you know what, that's fantastic. Let's start the real work together today to make sure you leave here achieving X, Y, Z, and then I go into the CMT session in the manner that we sort of did earlier, so that they're already at this heightened state of suggestibility and belief in what you're going to do. Before you start, you can prove something to them quick, and then the session takes 40 minutes or whatever, which is something that's like 4 times as long. So, you know, the fucked up logic is it's 4 times more powerful, so this is going to be permanent cure. This is the sort of thought process that we're looking to trigger off and make happen. This is how we're manipulating people positively. Tremendous. We talked about third person before. So, trying to go briefly through and remember, although hopefully you're starting to slot it in place.
Just before you go on to anything, just because it was clear in my mind, especially on Simon's lesson this morning, when you had them in the chair, was the idea of keeping them opening their eyes, closing their eyes, open just for clients?
Breaking style. Sorry, good point. Thank you for that question. That's just reminded me of something else as well. 2 things I've forgotten. Firstly, state elicitation. When I was getting them to close their eyes, I was getting them to elicit a state, an emotional state, a memory state, which in most of the examples was one of a painful nature that we're going to get rid of.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't want to then just immediately, because we're using rapid techniques, it doesn't matter so much in the CMT session because there's a nice one thing segues into another. Immediately go into conjuring up good things or what have you. So, to break that state, rather than just saying that image is faded and gone, let's get the next one, just open your eyes. Fantastic. There's a physical movement. That physical movement makes it go, so that then you're starting afresh on the next bit.
Yeah.
Which they call breaking state in NLP terms. The other thing I guess you probably noticed I did, not all the time, and not rapidly, on purpose, because that tends to annoy people and then you get a smack in the face, is mirroring and matching the body language. Mirroring quite simply meaning observe what the client's doing, and then matching, well, you know, mirror them so you end up doing the same. Pacing and leading, you can actually get to a point where you alter your body language and then they will alter their body language. And when you know you've got to that point, in sales terms, you've got a fucking sale. In speed seduction terms, you're up for a shack. In therapy, you know, no, in therapy, you've got them in a state of mind where you are going to be able to rapidly change them, because what they're demonstrating is trust and being in rapport with you, and the fact that, you know, you like me, find, you know, it's so fucking obvious when you know. But the thing is, I was doing that, mirroring and matching the body language as well, pacing and leading the breathing. All of these things were tools in your tool bag. Unlike conventional NLP training, which tells you, for this problem, use this technique. For this problem, use this technique. For this problem, use this technique, which is how they justify charging a fucking fortune. The truth of the matter is, you're far better off knowing and understanding the bits, the components that make up, and the psychological reasoning behind these techniques, so that you can then be flexible and improvise and make it up as you fucking go along, like I did before lunchtime, so that you end up effecting a change in somebody. Make it up as you go along. It's far better than using, you know, the books say you've got to do it this way. Well, it's not going to work with everyone all of the time. Everyone's different. So if you can be flexible, and that's the key to being a therapist, then, you know, you'll also find it more enjoyable, because the CMT thing is great, it's fantastic, but I know personally that when I used to have shitloads of smokers and weight loss people coming every week when I was much younger, it's bored the fucking living crap out of me. It did. The same thing again and again and again. Which is why, unbeknownst, because I've never admitted it before on tape, hello mum, was when I started playing around with doing something a bit different at the beginning of the session, because it gave me a perverse bit of pleasure that I was doing something different and making it up as I went along. And if you start off by just doing something for, 5-10 minutes at the start of the session with the intent of just getting a change rather than a total cure, it will give you the opportunity to practice these techniques and become comfortable with them, and unfortunately wake up one day and find that when you analyse your own speech patterns, you sound like a fucking nutter like me. But you'll end up doing it in your everyday life. Which is probably why I drink so much, because there comes a point when I've had enough drink that I do start talking more normally for me, rather than in this speak. Right, where were we on here? Yeah, so Simon's emotion. The Simon's emotion example that we did before lunchtime, obviously we used 0 to 10 ploy. How much lower is it now? Oh, for fuck's sake! Submodalities, you know what I said to the crock of shit? I used submodalities in Simon's emotion, didn't I? I did, didn't I?
You did on Antonia.
Fuck. I've always said the fucking crock of shit submodalities, and I find myself using them without. There you go. Well, that's wonderful for you. No, I did for Simon as well, I do believe. Yeah, because, it started off as, I forget now, what was it? Red, hot, hard, round, which, although I was doing it in an ambiguous manner, I prefer things that are ambiguous than going into the what specifically is it, because ambiguous leaves it up to them to do it in a way that feels right for them. But it was round, hard, red hot, wasn't it? Something like that. And it became tubular or something like that. It was yellow. Cool and yellow. So that was because visual imagery, when changed, because it was linked to an emotion, because you took it from where it felt that emotion. So that was one fucking model operator. I'll say that under my fucking breath, because it doesn't matter. One trigger, as it once was, and we changed the way you were looking at it and felt it, so that it was then the other shape anyway. Yellow and cool, and then you put it back where you felt was right for you. So you had shifted your pattern, your modality, your response, and the way you reacted to those things. Hence the number was lower after, which then gets anchored to the idea that it's a permanent change. Hopefully made sense, and is basically what I ended up doing for Simon. I'm going to stand in the pain spot for a minute, because that's what I feel.
Why
Okay,
are the products in
some
the pain
modalities
spot?
actually do work.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Why are your products in the pain spot? He said, I was wondering that as well.
Because not buying them will get your legs broken. And if you want to walk home and feel good, you'll have a big armful of stuff with you. Right. Okay, yeah, so apparently some modalities do work. Right, we did the CMT session, which hopefully by now, that was with everyone, hopefully by now you've kind of guessed what was going on there on many levels. The visualisations within there were the television set, which is the idea of getting rid of the past. And verbally, I was creating mental images and pictures and associations with things like, as that picture fades away, so the problem fades away. You know, gone, implication.
On that CMT session, I don't know if it's me, I felt impatient. I felt like in my head I was kind of moving ahead of where you were telling me to be. And then you'd say something, oh, well, I've got to go back here now, because this wasn't quite what I thought it was going.
Fantastic.
You stand there too.
No, aside, you know, I'm confusing you. No, aside from it being it's fantastic, it always is. Whatever. No, seriously, joking aside, it is fantastic in so much as that's what you're consciously aware of now. So if you felt a sense of confusion and, oh dearie me, and oh, what the hell's going on, then everything that was being said was going into your subconscious mind, whether you like it or not. Because it's disorientation and confusion. So it is actually, joking aside, not meaning to sound sarcastic, but it is actually fantastic. Because the only result you can get better than that is when the people are so bloody deep, they've got no recollection whatsoever of what you've been saying, or when they go and drift off into a normal sleep, which doesn't matter because it still goes into the subconscious, because even when we're asleep at night, we are aware of things going on around us. It's just we choose to filter out. We get used to noises in our house, but if we go to a strange house, we can wake up and we hear a noise that we're not used to. At home, we've filtered them out, we've deleted them, because we're so used to them. Any of those are a good result. Better if they're snoring, and I know if you've told me that that has actually happened with clients that you've done. But it doesn't matter if they don't. Hang on. Antonia's fear. I seem to recall, hopefully you will remember better than I do, that at this point I did state elicitation by what did it feel like when it was like that in the past, when it used to bother you, or you were concerned you in that manner, which is also future pacing. And the use of the 0 to 10 ploy that we mentioned before. What does that feel like? Which is state, feeling, internal dialogue elicitation. Where is that feeling? What direction is it moving? I forget then, did we pull it out?
Was there a colour?
Was there a colour?
No, you went to the panel and flicked switches.
That's right.
Alright, this time, same end result, just different way of doing it. Panel, the control panel in the mind, flick the switch that, you know, changes the direction. Currently it's going up, you want it to go down. Currently it's going fast, slow. Whatever they've said, obviously you just say the direct opposite. And do that in a way that feels right for you. And when you know you've done that, just let me know. What the fuck does that phrase mean? when you know you've done that, just let me know. Well, it's sort of such an ambiguous comment, because on the one level, it's saying when you know you flick that switch, let me know, and we'll carry on.
Aren't they supposed to say something though, because if they're not, they're just going to sit there for like 3 hours?
Oh, they will end up saying something.
Exactly.
If they don't, you say,
something,
it will get them to say something, but it's like a question, so they respond. But the same phrase could be interpreted as, when you've done that, just let me know, as meaning, when you've totally reversed that, let me know. So when they say yeah or not yeah, it's consciously could be yeah, I flicked the switch, but subconsciously is reinforcing the idea that that change has taken place. Hence the yes set thing we said about before. So we change the direction speed. Whatever they've said basically, we turn it around. That's why it's called change work. We just change. No, but it is. It's called change work. We change one thing they've said to another in whatever manner, means, desire or way that, quite frankly, you can think of at the time. We then found broke state again. Kept doing the breaking state. Eyes up, back in. We elicited, I seem to recall, really nice, positive, on top of the world feeling memory image, and got that to be anchored to where what used to bother in the past, future pacing, was. I notice how good that feels inside, which is a presupposition and a direct suggestion that it does feel good, and also triggering off the good state, the positive emotions. We use law of reversed effort after doing breaking the state. Try and feel the way you did before, implying that you can. Future pacing as you once were in the past. And we use the 0 to 10 ploy that I've just mentioned before. I think that's pretty much. And obviously with certain things I was saying, I'm damn certain, well hopefully you're aware of that by today, voice tone changes so they're embedded commands, in a way that feels right for you. You may find in a few months that you can make that change, They were basically all the things that went into that little bit. Speed panel, anchor. Oh yeah, and we also used the disassociation in the cinema. That was the other bit. Or before we got to the end, of imagining watching, running through, which is sort of like the phobia cure type thing, watching it from a disassociated point of view, so it doesn't bother you, worry you, or concern you as it once did in the past, future pacing again, but also telling them at a direct conscious level that don't worry, this ain't going to upset you because you're not emotionally linked to it anymore and you won't be running this through in your mind. And we get them to run through either seeing the film of the spider walking in the bathroom, or getting on the aeroplane, or whatever it happens to be. And notice how much better they feel not having that connection anymore. You're not linked to that anymore. Notice how good that feels at this moment in time. Yeah, fine, logical, because you've already told me up front I'm not linked to it. But now we need to link them back together in a manner whereby when it does happen, it feels good. Okay? So we want to make that image that once in the past was freaky and scary into something that's either no problem whatsoever, or at the very least comfortable, acceptable. Whereas once it used to be scary, painful. Yeah, spatial anchoring again, you're quite right.
By accident or on purpose?
On purpose, man.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Good, you are paying attention. This is so much better and easier then. So I react as if, because I'm leading the mental imagery. Oh dear, the film's gone wrong. It's starting to run backwards. So it's scrambling the image, disorientation, confusion. Oh, now the talking's all sort of gobbledygook. It's like, it's all like, which sounds a bit daft and stupid, but it also helps on an auditory state, if they're an auditory person, to embed that idea that the film's fucked up. And in fact, it's quite funny, really, because the images are getting so blurred as it's running backwards. It's almost like those people around you think it's almost like they've got clowns' noses on, or, you know, it made the image seem ridiculous and daft and stupid, and it's running at a different speed, going backwards. Oh, and it's right at the end of the film. That's fucking illogical, right? Because if it was running backwards, it'd be right at the start of the film. Yeah? But because it's illogical and the subconscious picks up on things in a fucked up manner, it means that it embeds what you're about to say right into the head quicker, which what you're about to say, as I recall, was, oh, bloody hell, it's right. It's back at the end of the film. No, it's fucking nice at the start. Back at the end of the film, it's gone. Or some such phrase, I forget what I exactly said, but it was something like, it's gone. In that moment of confusion, the pattern interrupt is, it's gone. Which in itself also becomes an embedded command that it's gone. And the intent of that particular treatment session was for a certain purpose. So it's embedding the idea that now it's gone. Does that make sense? Cool. And then we obviously anchored that to the good feelings and all that kind of stuff. Rapid regression, we covered that. Why have I done these in the wrong? I don't know, but the fightings I've done. Metaphor, free association, we've done.
I think you've done them all.
Done them all except for one. Except for one. And I'm just going to be somewhat slightly unprofessional. I grabbed myself some water. Yes, believe it or not, camera, Jonathan Riley's actually human. Despite the image given on other trainings. Right. I just want to do 2 more demonstrations before we sort of bring all this to a close and bring it to a point of where we all understand and where we feel good, and where hopefully then you can walk away from here and improvise and utilise all the little techniques in a way that feels right for you, with positive intent to help your clients, because intent is a key to it all, and a belief that it will work, because then it will, as we showed yesterday. You can literally work miracles when you believe that you can. What was it? What the mind of man can perceive and believe, it can achieve. As a man thinketh, so he becomes. You know, fucking even the Bible says its divine power gave us everything we need for life. It fucking did. It's all in here. It's just how you look at it, what perspective you come from. And, you know, it can be just as easy as taking something that once in the past used to bother you, worry you, or concern you, and pushing it away from yourself so that you move in the direction of feeling really good, confident, competent, and really good at using these things in all different scenarios, whether it's in therapy, or whether it's just communicating with your partner at home or your kids, whether it's using it in sales, because, you know, you think about it, all sales is about eliciting emotions in people and attaching value to something so that it becomes pleasurable for them to buy it and painful not to. That's why Kirby vacuum cleaners did so fucking good there. Sales pitch. Talk about ramping the pain up. See these little dust mites that are killing your kid? Pictures this fucking big. The thing in real life, you could fit millions of them on your thumb, but no, they'd be showing people images like that. Big, giving them nightmares, ramping the pain up, and then providing the solution. Such a sense of relief, feeling so good, that it was the logical, intelligent thing to do, to buy those Hoovers, or those DVDs. Okay. What I need right now is I'm going to borrow Beverly. Beverly, is that okay? Yeah. Thank you, my darling. If you'd just like to take a seat there, that'd be tremendous. Okay, the one other thing, and the only reason I'm covering this is because when people think of NLP, they tend to think of... Oh, and I would just say, by the way, the really good thing about this NLP... Hypnosis exposed settings. The really, really good thing about them is that because the entire 2-day event was devoted to NLP, we do numerous demonstrations and give you ways it can be used and what have you, including sticking syringes through people without causing any discomfort or any blood. Well, not much blood, but no discomfort. We use it in just about every context you can think of. And the beauty of them is that the majority of it is completely different than the NLP we've been teaching you today. Because that was when I was teaching you the ways of getting the same results as NLP without necessarily exactly using NLP, whereas this weekend told you the truth. Yeah. Okay, Beverly, what I'd like you to do. Oh, brilliant. Why you've chosen a different style. That works. I will move into the client's seat, but no. Right. Hopefully, and if you haven't got one, you'll have to make one up for this. But if you have got one, that's tremendous. Some sort of something from the past, not a phobia. I've done one of them already, but something that's got an emotional intensity to it that's perhaps a little bit higher than what ideally you would like it to be. Okay, tremendous. I'd just like you to take a few moments to close your eyes down, Beverly. Take a nice deep breath in. And out. Oh yeah, I got everyone to do that. Just a few deep breaths. Just cut it out. Just sort of hyperventilates a bit, get oxygen in, helps you relax. Yeah, I forgot about that. Nice deep breath in through your nose and out. Tremendous. Just take a few moments to think of that particular issue, concern, problem, whatever it may be. I don't need to know. This is personal and private to yourself. And notice how that made you feel. Okay? In the past, when it was at its worst, not good, not good, not good, not good. And then just open your eyes. Okay, let that go away. Drift away, gone. Okay. Well, you did get into that then, darling. Thank you. Well, thank you for really getting into this. I don't need to know what it was, but I was feeling that with you. On a scale of 0 to 10, okay, with 0 going up to 10, 0 being no problem, 10 being the most painful it ever was, could be, or has been. How high up the scale would that be? I'm imagining pretty high. About a 9. Okay. I knew it was definitely a high. I feel that. Okay. Just take a nice deep breath in. And out. Tremendous. What I'm going to ask you to do is going to seem a little bit strange, but with your permission, if that's okay, this will help you. What I'd like you to do is just take your right hand. That's not so you can hear me, okay? That's joking aside. Oh, why did that look like it turned you on? That's scary. What I'd like you to do is just take your 2 top fingers like that, okay? Put them together like that, okay? And I'll do it with you so you know what to do, but just do the same as me. I'd like you just to tap the centre point of your brow there, sometimes what they call the third eye, 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd like you then to go to where the, what is it called? Solar plexus? Collarbone area. Right, no, solar plexus down there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Brilliant. And then to your, so the same way as you, because then it's so much easier. Your left hand side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, just your shoulder area. And then cross your hands over and exchange. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. Tremendous. And finally, just under the nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I'm going to do that once more. Only this time, as you do it, I want you to mentally, in your mind, think of a word, one word that would sum up that situation, emotion, problem, whatever it was that used to bother you in the past. One word. It can be totally nonsensical as long as to you that word represents what it was. I don't need to know, but it'd be okay? Baby. Okay? What I'd like you to do is, all you need to do is think of the word baby, but tap in those points, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, tremendous. Just around there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your left hand and shoulder area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cross the hands over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lip area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tremendous. One more time. Head. Neck area. Shoulder. Shoulder. Literally just feel as though you're tapping that away to getting rid of that emotion. Leaving that pain behind. Okay, take a nice deep breath in. Look directly at my finger. If you would, that's brilliant. I just want you to follow my finger in the direction it goes, down to the left. Tremendous. And up. And down this way. Back up there. Round the circle. Tremendous. That's a good start. Just close your eyes. Brilliant. Take a nice deep breath in. And out. Just take a few moments in your mind. I'm getting a sense of a feeling. I don't need to know what this is. I don't want to know. I want you to keep this personal and private, but I'm starting to really get a sense and a feeling that this is so intense that it will be just so good for you right now to let go of that pain right now. Just let it out. Let that pain out. And if you let that pain out, it feels good to let go. It's like letting all that steam out the kettle. So the steam, you're taking control. You're taking that steam out of the kettle so it doesn't blow up. That's it, let that out. You bottled up all that steam in that kettle. It was so close to exploding. It was getting so hot. It was causing you so much pain in the past. Now you decided to take control. Notice how much better it starts to feel to take control. You can be in control again. Take the lid off that kettle, so to speak, in your mind's eye. Let the steam out. Notice that sense of relief as it starts to come out. You start to leave it behind in the past where it belongs for now. The pain belongs there. Now just take a nice deep breath in. This is going to sound really bizarre in a few moments' time, but just open your eyes. As daft as it sounds. That's brilliant. Okay, good to let that steam out, yeah? Okay. This is going to sound really daft, and I'm not saying it in any way to sound uncaring, although it could be interpreted that way. It really isn't. What's the daftest, most ridiculous thing you've ever done in your life? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. If it's that daft, if it's really that daft that you think, evidently it is. Okay, tremendous, fantastic. Just close your eyes down, Beverly. See that bright and clear in your mind eyes. Okay, see it bright and clear. That really daft, stupid thing of the past. Yeah. Gone completely, but that really fantastically ridiculous, maybe embarrassing, silly thing. Yeah, notice how good that feels. Yeah, okay. As you see that bright and clear, bring it towards yourself. Yeah, that's fantastic. Right now, thinking about it right now, where does that feeling feel so good inside right now? Just there. That is brilliant. And now thinking about it with this hand, you won't know how you know, but you will know on the count of 3 when I click my fingers like that. You're just going to be able to take this hand and touch the point within you where earlier on those things that used to bother you in the past bothered you. Okay, 1, 2, 3, where was it? It was there. So how much better does that feel right now?
But it's still there.
It's still there, yeah. But I get a sense and a feeling.
Down to about a 6.
Okay, about a 6. And it's not that I'm trying to do a mind reading game here, but I'm just getting a sense and a feeling. So please, by all means, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm getting a sense and a feeling that this is something that you wouldn't want to be a zero anywhere.
Maybe, I don't know. I've done a lot of work on it where I thought it was a lot lower.
Right. And without, I don't want any details. This is personal and private to you. And in fact, you don't need to give me any details. I'm not saying I'm a mind reader, but I just get this sense and feeling. I feel there's confusion is a word that comes into my mind, sense and a feeling. Perhaps in that you thought it was lower before, I mean, you know, with stuff you've done yourself, and a sort of sense and a realisation that in actual fact there were perhaps other issues connected that...
Well, there are.
Right.
So, yeah.
So many different offshoots and different issues.
Yeah.
Okay. And those sort of need to be dealt with and taken away and got rid of one by one, so that you can then, when the time is right for you, concentrate on that. That's something you're already aware of anyway. Okay, let's try one final thing. Take a nice deep breath in. I'm going to tell you now, we're not going to take this to a zero here today.
Oh, I didn't think so.
No. A, because there's so many sub-issues,
Yeah.
and B, because I'm not entirely convinced that you would ever want it to be a zero. Zero can almost be forgotten it completely, no reminders. You know? It just needs to be at a level that's right for you, that's comfortable. Rather than, it's alright, just let that go. You know as well as I do that if you let that steam out the kettle, you can move forward. Close your eyes down, go forward, in a way that feels right for you. I'm going to stand behind you in a way that feels right for you. Just take a few nice deep breaths in. And out. In and out. I'm just going to place my hand on your forehead like that. Sense of feeling, feels like a pressure right here. Yeah? Pressure right there. I want you to imagine it's almost as if right now you can feel that pressure right there. I know you can for real. So I can feel it myself. Imagine it's almost possible to just pull away all the negative things, negative triggers and all the bad things connected to that. But leave behind the things that are right for you at this time, enabling you to deal with them at a time that's right for you. There's so much more you can let go of right now. Almost as if I can grab hold of that pressure and take hold of that pressure, pull it forward, just leaving the good things behind inside you right now. take for now. Take that away if that's okay for you. Okay, take a few nice deep breaths in. And out. That feels lighter, yeah? Feels better, yeah? Just take a few minutes, and when it feels right and you feel much better, just allow yourself to open your eyes when you feel that's okay. Feel alright, darling? Feel somewhat better than before?
Lots better.
Tremendous, don't worry, I went through that with you. Thank you for sharing that with me, darling. Give lovely a round of applause. I'm not even going to explain what I just did then, because I hope that with what you've observed and witnessed this weekend, that you can work it out for yourself. Yes, to a certain extent, there was all this future pacing and all that, but it went far beyond that. When your intent in your own mind is to connect with a client or connect with a person like yesterday, there's your clue, then you will feel their emotions. And as crazy and as fucked up as it sounds, all I can say is what I just did and what it looks like is essentially exactly what I did and what it is in terms of intent, positivity, connection, rapport. Grieves me to say it, but referring back to yesterday, almost on the X-Files emotional link, reaching in, grabbing that chakra and pulling the person over. And I can't explain it, the last bit of that, to you any other way than that, because there isn't any way to explain it other than to say, you saw yesterday the proof that you can physically get hold of somebody and pull them over without even touching them, without setting anything up, without using stooges. It isn't science fiction. Intent, desire, your own belief system is probably the most important thing that you've got in your tool bag, both as a therapist in terms of helping people feel better, in terms of even a salesman selling stuff. You've got to have that frame set. And I don't mean the frame set, the mindset where you're going in, I'm definitely going to get this sale. No, the frame set where you actually want to not sell somebody the item, you want to solve their problem for them. Same as with that. So that you're providing them with a positive solution. And if you truly feel sometimes that it isn't the best solution for them, you're not necessarily the most ideally equipped therapist, because you've not got first or second level emotional connection, personal experience to that. Which, I'm not trying to do a mind reading thing, but I feel that's why it was so easy to connect. Then you're better off sending the person to somebody else who can help them. Because long term, even from a business point of view, that will help you get more clients. That honesty. Talking about honesty the way I talk on the other DVDs. The same with sales. Sometimes it's better, especially if you know somebody else who can offer them the better solution, who'll give you a backhander and you put them onto them. Nothing wrong with making some money, but it's better to pass them on to the person that can give them the more relevant to them solution. Because word will get around, and you will actually end up getting more clients and sales for your own product because of what a nice guy you are and how honest. So, you know, there's not a right lot more I can... Well, very quickly.
I was just going to ask, do you know what you did with that? I noticed like what you were doing with when you put your hand overhead, that was like putting a heart chakra on the third eye chakra, so that was like pulling it out and just throwing the problem away. Was that the next step in what you were doing?
Well, third eye's there,
yeah, you have
but also most negative emotions we feel pressure around here or here. But body's very forgiving, so it was quite a big area. And the irony of it is Native American Indians do a thing whereby you can, by covering the third eye chakra, sort of base of the neck, there comes a point without saying anything verbally where they sort of connect, and it's sort of pulling out what you're mentally visualising, what your intent is, your intent, and that's all it comes down to, is to pull out those negative things and to connect, so that it becomes positive and feels good. And I can't tell you any more than that. Because, you know what, this weekend, you've just got more truth than anyone's ever going to get live in person with me. Because I ain't doing this seminar ever again. That wasn't a sales ploy. That was actually the truth. That's why it's being DVD'd. So you know, at this point, all I'm going to say is, thank you all for listening. Your CD-ROMs cover just about everything we've said this weekend. And you know what the really good thing is? That although you might not realise it right now this second, because there's so much now running through your head, especially those of you who've seen DVDs in the past where I was saying, what a crock of shit all these things are. It doesn't work, I don't believe in it. The bizarre thing is, once you get past that confusion, fuck me, Jonathan Royle actually has a heart. Once you get past that confusion of, bloody hell, actually, you know what? He does use these techniques and he's always believed in it. Then you'll be able to slot them in with the techniques you have actually learned, which was ways I was teaching you shortcuts to get the same results as this, but, you know, without having to kind of take the years of training or mental crunching to get it right. And you'll find that through the process of looking at those things will make it easier for you to get to this point where we are at the end of this weekend, where you can go away and quite frankly be a damn sight more technically competent than the majority of fucking therapists are out there. And on that note, I would just say, who's stopping tonight? Because we're going to be in the bar very soon getting pissed. Tremendous, fantastic, thank you for listening. Lord, let me tell you one thing, Lord, before we go. In terms of seminars, there will be future seminars, but not hypnosis. Any hypnosis ones, probably in a different country. But, ladies and gentlemen, number one, thank you for listening. And number two, I sincerely hope that you've learned something or experienced something worthwhile and new this weekend. Number three, thank you for listening. Good night.